Zoe, I want to turn to you now and ask you, we're talking about different types of representation in Hollywood and pop culture, television specifically. Where do you see the state of representation in Hollywood when it comes to Latinos, Latino stories, and how have you been thinking about this in your role as a producer and behind the scenes, not just in front of the camera?
Um, I do believe that accurate representation is important. I think that there's so many groups that have been blatantly omitted from the American narrative for so long that portraying them as they are, as authentically as they are, um, is really important. I feel like it's part of swinging that pendulum to that other extreme in order for us to finally, within some years, maybe a decade or so, find that balance, find that middle ground. Um, Unfortunately, in the past, I had some personal experience with that when it came to uh, myself appropriating myself with a character choice in my career, and I only reached a resolution once I opened my heart, I opened my mind to a group that, even though I may, in a very general term, belong to, I'm still very specific within that group. Like Claudia was saying, you are a minority in a minority group, and that is important for us to keep in mind as content creators. Because if we are telling a queer story, I think it is important for us to cast queer, actors. If we're telling a story about Dominicans, I think it's really important for us to try to the best of our abilities to look for that Dominican representation, because there is a level of transparency that we as consumers and as audience, but also primarily as Americans, we are demanding, and I think it's important for us to pay attention to that. So our job as executive producers, Maria and Cicely, myself as Cinestar, was to really dig in into Claudia and understand where Claudia was seeing this and where she wanted to go, and see how we were going to be good assets to her in helping her find the most amazing cast that was going to meet the requirements that she had set for herself for the show. And that was what we did. And I feel like once you surrender to that reality, you become such an ally to so many groups that have felt misrepresented, overlooked, and you put yourself in a position to really gain confidence. And I feel like trust and confidence is something that we're losing as Americans, not just as consumers, but also like as active Americans, as voters and everything. So you can only do that by really, really being transparent to the level of support that you are providing for these groups.